You may have heard of that famous example. Swami Vivekanand was talking to a yogi ji, and while talking they reached the river. So the yogi ji had practiced his sadhanas. He started walking on the water. And standing halfway through the stream, he called back, "Come on." The Swami Vivekanand said no. He went down a little bit, there was a boatman. He gave the boatman 2 paise and the boatman took him across. So the yogi ji said, "What has your God given you? You can't even walk on water. What sadhana have you done?" Swami Vivekanand said that the sadhana that you have done is worth 2 paise. Because you crossed this water and I crossed it with 2 paise. And the problem is that each time you utilize this ability, it will keep on reducing. These mystic abilities, material siddhis, each time you use them, they reduce. And further, they create a big defect in the heart. What is that? Right, the pride of doership. I am doing this, I am doing this. That pride immediately blocks out God. Paul Deussen had said, egotism is like a cloud that keeps God hidden from our sight. If by the mercy of the true Guru, egotism vanishes, then God is seen in his full glory. Mullah Nasiruddin, he had kept the fast of Ramzan. And he was waiting for the moon to be sighted. So, they sight the moon and then they break the fast. Now, he looked into a well and the moon had actually come out. He saw the reflection there. So Mullah Nasiruddin, he said, "Oh my God, the moon has fallen in the well. If this is the case, how will people sight it? And then how will they break their fasts?" So he threw a bucket into the well. And then he was tugging it, the bucket got caught by the edge. So he heaved with all his might, the rope broke and he fell down. And when he looked up in the sky, the moon was there. He said, "All right, I have done my good deed of the day." The pride of doership. So these siddhis, we people find it difficult to avoid the pride of doership when we are doing little. And a yogi ji who has got all these mystic powers, how will that yogi avoid it? So that is why na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va. The aspirant for divine love, he never desires these mystic abilities. जो स्वर्ग नरक समझाने जो मुक्ति पिशाच निमाने Now, talking about our relationship with God. See, one of the features of our relationship with Him is that it's a permanent relationship. Our relationship with everyone else is temporary. I was coming by flight from New York, and an old lady, she said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from India." Then we started talking. I said, "Where are you going?" She said, "My sister in Dallas has passed away, and I'm shattered. I'm going there." But that is the tragedy of life. One day everyone is going to pass away. हंस जब जब उड़ा तब अकेला उड़ा, सारी दुनिया में लाखों का मेला उड़ा, हंस जब जब उड़ा तब अकेला उड़ा. Even this body will not go with us. All our dear ones, they will all be left behind. On the cremation ground, the Pandit who does the puja, he gives to the members of the deceased a twig and says, "Break it." The members snap it into two. He says, just like this twig was so delicate, it broke so easily, that was the nature of your relationship with them. But we don't realize it, that one day it's all going to finish. And the second aspect of that relationship is that it is all based on selfishness. The moment that selfishness is harmed, the relationship turns sour. Friend with friend, brother with brother, husband with wife, father with son, they turn against each other, they start hating each other. They have so many problems. And our relationship with God is eternal. In other words, He is eternally ours, we are eternally His. Plus, He is our selfless relative. He desires nothing from us. People go on abusing, there is no God. Swamiji, what God are you talking about? We human beings have made God. You know, just 1 month ago, I was giving a lecture in Stanford on science and spirituality. So all these brainy students, so I tried to reconcile it. But there were so many different views and many of them got heated up. How dare you say there is a God? What a big crime. But God sees all these people and yet He keeps taking care of them. Never mind, never mind. Today you are abusing me, tomorrow you'll also become a devotee. Here, I am giving you the air. You also breathe the air of my word. You also eat the vegetables that I create from the mud. Never mind, it's all right. There was once a traveler. He reached a village at night, 12 o'clock. And he asked someone that, "Where can I get food from?" They guided him that this person, he is the biggest philanthropist in our village. Nobody goes disappointed from his house. You go to him and he'll feed you sumptuously. So he landed up beyond midnight, knocked on his door. The philanthropist, he came out rubbing his eyes. The traveler said, "Sir, I'm very hungry. I'm coming from a long distance. Can you give me something to eat?" The philanthropist said, "You know, my whole kitchen is cleaned out. I was sleeping. I don't wish to disappoint you." He went, he cooked a meal, and with great affection, he placed it before him. He said, "Sir, you are a visitor. You are like our guest. And this has been arranged by God's grace. Please accept it and express your gratitude to God." The traveler said, God's grace. Why did you bring God into the picture? He said, but this is by God's grace. No! What God's grace? Unnecessarily we attribute things to Him. There is no such thing as God's grace and God. Now the philanthropist got infuriated. He said, you don't believe in God? All right. He pulled the plate away. Let me see how you're going to eat. He kicked him out of the house. And he went off to sleep. At night, God came in his dream. He fell at the feet of God in his dream. God said, you kicked out that traveler? My Lord, he was abusing you. He said that you don't exist. How could I tolerate that? God said, what did his age appear to be to you? Well, my guess is he would be about 60 years. God said, do you know he has been abusing me for the last 40 years. But yet I arrange for his meal 3 times a day. You could not tolerate even once? So this philanthropist fell at the feet of God. He said, my Lord, those who are abusing you, you are even taking care of such souls. Who can be more merciful than you? So he is such a relative. And he is taking care of everyone, those who surrender to him. He says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tathaiva bhajamyaham. If you surrender to me, I shall serve you. Bhajamyaham. This is God's, His promise that if you surrender to me, I shall serve you. And He goes even beyond. To the devotees who love Him, God says, I am indebted. There is no way I can repay my debt to my devotee. Sri Ram tells Hanuman, Ekaikasyopakarasya pranam dasyami te kape sheshasya hopakaranam bhavam rinino vayam. He says, O Hanuman, one service that you did to me, I am indebted to you. To release myself from that debt, I have to give you my life. And for all the other services, I am eternally indebted. That kind of relative God. Now we have the facility to establish our relationship with Him. How to establish that relationship? God says, make it as close as you like. You and I are the closest. I am sitting inside you. There is no distance there. So now it is up to us. We can look on God as some distant king, or we can look on God as our own family member. We can, like in Odisha, they look on Jagannath as the member of the family. You can look on God as your child. The Gujaratis, they do worship of Laddu Gopal in their house. He's the child. You can look on God as the beloved. This is the gopis. So now it is up to you. How close do you wish to make it with God? There are differences even in the world. See, closer than the whole world is your own neighbor. If you go from Austin to some other country, Mexico, and you find your neighbor there, oh, you here, what a pleasant surprise. But closer than the neighbor is the friend. Closer than the friend is the son and daughter, father and mother. Closer than the son, daughter, father, mother is the husband and wife. The closer than husband and wife is one's own body. See, the husband will never offer 100% of his wealth to the wife. He will keep 10% safe 90% is for you, all right, if required, not 100%. 100% is for my sake, but you are entitled to 90%. And the children are entitled to 50%, parents and all. And the friend, if he asks, yeah, all right, you can take a loan of $2,000. And God, well, $200. So we have these gradations in the mind. But closer than one's own body, closer than the wife or husband is the own body, closer than the body is the life air. Closer than the pran is the man, the mind. Even more intimate is the intellect. We don't even realize the intellect is separate, I am separate. Closer than the intellect is one's own soul. Closer than that is the soul of the soul, who is Sri Krishna. So that is the extent of closeness. Now it is up to us. So Kripaluji Maharaj says that you worship him as your soul beloved. That is Madhur Bhav. That Krishna is my beloved. So naturally you will feel so close to him. And in that the facility is that whenever you like, you can also look on him as your child. You can also look on him as your friend. You can also look on him as your master, as your king. In other words, the other relationships are naturally included in it. But this has to be implemented with understanding. Without understanding, we'll say, can I make God my friend? People have that kind of reservation even towards big personalities. You think I can make Obama my friend? No, that's not possible. So imagine, what about God? But the fact is, we are his tiny parts. So the hesitation is not from his side. The hesitation is from our side. And the Guru is teaching us, don't fear. Where there is fear, there is no love. Swami Vivekanand said, devotion motivated by fear is the lowest kind of devotion. Cut that fear. He is mine. And what is he of mine? He is my soul beloved. And include the others. However, in that also there is a correction required. And that is what he states, Jo nij sukh Ura nahi rakhi. Don't love him for the sake of your happiness. Love him for the sake of his happiness. See, that's what we did in the world. We loved the whole world for our sake. Two people were doing hiking on a mountain when they found a bear in front. Now imagine a 350-pounder with these 10 claws, and if you sight him at 100 yards, how scary it is. So one of them turned around to run. The other said, it's no use running. Bears are really fast. You can't outrun him. He said, who's concerned about outrunning him? I'm concerned about outrunning you. Because if I outrun you, my job is done. That is the philosophy of this world. Everybody cares for themselves, fends for themselves. When the French Revolution was taking place and the heads of noblemen were being cut, this news reached a person who used to sell hats. His business was to sell hats and caps. So he heard that the heads of the royalty are being cut. He said, really, what will happen to my hat business? He's not concerned about their heads, he's concerned about his hat business. So the fact is, before God realization, we are all concerned about our own happiness. And for the sake of our happiness, we love, even when we go to the divine realm, we love God and Guru for our happiness. Now that needs to be corrected if we wish to relish the bliss of divine love. So the definition of love is Avirbhavan dinena yena gapito hetustadiyanapikshiye tapina chaparadi vidhina natyanayo ardhate. Where there is no hetu. What is hetu? Cause. I love him because. Where there is no hetu, that is love. The hetu is the cause. So that cause, moment the cause comes, it becomes business. One disciple, he went to the Guruji and he said, Guruji, if I take the name of God, what will I get? What will I get? Guruji said, you must be a businessman. You first think of what I get, then you think of what I can do. So that is our formula that we apply. But when we step this realm of divine love, there should be no cause. In other words, what will I get is not thought. Only what can I give and give and give. Actually, mystics in different traditions have understood the secret of the universe. Saint Francis of Assisi said, O Lord, let me seek not so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying to the little self that we are born to eternal life. So in our practice of spirituality, we have to repeatedly pay heed to this principle. Just before the lecture, somebody was asking me that Swamiji, everything we do in the world is based on selfishness. How will it go away? It will require practice. That means we bring this principle to the mind. The goal of my love is not my happiness, it is his happiness. And when we repeatedly practice, that will develop the seva bhav, the desire to serve. So that seva bhav is the manifestation of devotion. In other words, the love in the heart manifests in the desire to serve, the desire to do something for the beloved, or at least mentally hope the happiness of the beloved. And the consequence of such love is that it can never be destroyed. That is the final test of selfless love. Sarvatha dhvansa rahitam satyapi dhvansa karane yadbhava bandhanam yuno saprema parikirtitah. Dhvans is a very powerful Hindi word, means destruction. So this verse says, where there is a cause for love to explode. In other words, our beloved has done something terrible to us. We are loving him and he does something terrible to us. And yet our love does not get destroyed. That is true love. That is love. So that should always be our acid test, and we should keep decorating our love so that we reach that point one day. So why does love not get destroyed? Because it is not engaged in for selfish reasons. The reason for destruction is my self-interest was not fulfilled, it was harmed. And moment it is selfless, then the beloved is free to do whatever he likes. So even in Madhur Bhav, Madhurya Bhav, there were categories. There was Samartha Rati, Samanjasa Rati, Sadharani Rati. So the love of Kubja, she looked on Krishna as her beloved. But her devotion was characterized by the desire for self-happiness. And the queens of Dwarka, they looked also on Krishna as their divine husband. However, the nature of their devotion was they wanted their happiness and also Krishna's happiness. And the gopis of Vrindavan, they actually manifested such selfless love. Swa sukha vasana gandhalesh shunya Shri Krishna sukhaika tatparyamai bhakti. So this then becomes one of the most important things in this path of divine love. Are you totally selfless? Now nobody is, but we have to practice and slowly bring this point into us. So much for today's lecture, and then we will continue in. We have a Diwali lecture in the evening, and the last verse we will complete in tomorrow's lecture. Jo madhur bhav apnaye ya vichari bhav samave. Piya Ruchi, Maha Ruchi Rakhey, Prema Rasa Soi Chakhe. Jo Piya Ruchi, Maha Ruchi Rakhey, Prema Rasa Soi Chakhe. Maha Ruchi Rakhey, Prema Rasa Soi Chakhe. Jo Piya Ruchi, Maha Ruchi Rakhey, Jagadguru Shree Kripaluji Maharaj ki